So a few weeks ago, I caught myself doing something kind of embarrassing. I was standing in my kitchen, not talking to anyone, just saying something out loud. Just one sentence, 30 seconds, maybe less. And the strange part wasn't that I said it, it's that I felt my whole body react to hearing my own voice say it. That's the part nobody really explains to you. Here's what I mean. Most of us have a version of hope that lives entirely in our heads. You think, maybe things will be different this year. You think it in the shower, in traffic, right before you fall asleep, and it feels real in the moment, but by Tuesday it's gone, and you can't even remember deciding to let it go. It just dissolved. Nobody talked you out of it. You didn't fail at it. It simply never had anywhere to land. I used to think that was a discipline problem. Like I just needed to think the hopeful thought harder, or more often, or with more feeling behind it. But that's not actually where the breakdown happens. So the breakdown happens because a private thought has no witness, not even from you. You can abandon it in complete silence, and nothing in your life will register that anything happened at all. That's the part worth sitting with before we go any further. Not believe harder. Just notice how easy it is to let go of something nobody ever heard you say. I think about a friend of mine who spent almost 2 years telling himself, privately, that he was going to leave a job that was slowly wearing him down. Every Sunday night he'd think it. Every Monday morning he'd talk himself out of it again, quietly, without any friction, because there was nothing there to push back against. No one had heard him decide anything. It wasn't laziness. It wasn't lack of ambition. It was that the decision had never once left the inside of his own head, so it never had to answer to anything. That's the pattern I want you to notice in yourself before we go further, because it's more common than any of us like to admit. We treat private thinking as if it were the same as commitment. It isn't. A thought you never say out loud can be reversed in total silence, with nobody, including you, ever having to account for the reversal. Now here's where this gets interesting, because this isn't a new problem. Back in the early 1900s, there was a guy named Charles Fillmore, one of the people behind the New Thought movement. And whatever you think about the religious language, he wrapped things in. He was pointing at something that modern psychology later gave much more precise names to. He talked about the subconscious mind holding onto old patterns until something deliberately interrupts them. He didn't have the vocabulary we have now, things like self-concept or cognitive rehearsal, but the instinct was right. Repetition with real conviction behind it does something that repetition without conviction doesn't. I'm not going to stand here and recite an old prayer word for word and tell you it's magic. That's not what this is. What I want to pull out of that history is just the one insight underneath it, saying something with your actual voice, in a way that costs you something to say, is a different act than thinking it. It's not mystical, it's just true, and it's worth understanding why. Think about the difference between deciding privately you're going to quit something versus telling one specific person you're going to quit it. The moment you say it out loud to someone, your stomach tightens a little, right? That tightening is information. It's your nervous system registering that you've just created a witness to your own intention. Speaking it made it real, in a way thinking it never did. That tightening, that's the whole mechanism we're talking about tonight. Nothing mystical. Just accountability, aimed inward. What strikes me about Fillmore's era is that people back then didn't have access to any of the language we take for granted now. No one was talking about self-image or the stories people tell themselves about what they deserve. So they reached for the vocabulary available to them, which was often religious, because that was the only shared framework people had for describing an internal shift that big. I don't think that makes the underlying observation wrong. I think it just means we're allowed to translate it into language that fits how we actually understand the mind today. instead of either dismissing it or reciting it unchanged. And honestly, that's the trap a lot of manifestation content falls into. It either treats these old ideas as literal magic, or it throws them out entirely because the packaging feels dated. Both reactions skip the actual work, which is asking what these people were noticing about human behavior long before anyone had a clinical term for it. So here's stage 1. If you want to actually try this instead of just watching me talk about it, notice, honestly, the last private hope you let dissolve without saying a word. Not a big dream, something small. Maybe it was, I'm going to stop checking my bank account with dread every morning. Maybe it was, I'm allowed to charge what my work is actually worth. Whatever it was, notice that you never said it out loud to anyone, including yourself, in a full sentence, with your actual voice. Stage 2 is uncomfortable, and I want to be honest about that instead of pretending it isn't. Say the sentence out loud. Alone is fine, you don't need an audience, but say it as a complete sentence, not a mumble, not a half-formed thought trailing off. I am allowed to charge what my work is worth, full stop. And notice what happens in your chest when you hear it in your own voice. For most people, there's a flinch. That flinch is the gap between the person you've been quietly being and the person you just claimed to be out loud on the record with yourself. I'll admit, the first time I did this with something I actually cared about, I felt ridiculous. Standing in a kitchen, saying one sentence to nobody. But the ridiculous feeling faded a lot faster than the sentence did. That's usually a sign you were onto something real, not something performative. The awkwardness passes, the sentence stays. This is actually one of the things we dig into more on the site, at Manifest the Infinite. The difference between affirming something you're hoping is true and stating something you're deciding to be true. They sound similar. They are not the same act, and your body knows the difference even when your mind doesn't. A lot of people skip this step because it feels too small to matter. They want the version of the practice that feels dramatic, a ritual, a candle, a specific time of day, some sense of ceremony around it. And I understand the appeal of that, but it's usually a way of avoiding the actual discomfort, which is just hearing yourself say one honest sentence in an ordinary room with nothing special happening around it. The plainness is the point. If it required a ritual, it would be easy to hide behind the ritual instead of the sentence. Stage 3 is where most people quietly give up, and I want to name that honestly instead of pretending. This part is easy. The discomfort doesn't go away after one round. You'll say the sentence and still feel like a fraud for a few days, maybe longer. That's not proof it isn't working, that's the actual friction of a self-concept catching up to a claim it hasn't fully accepted yet. Nobody talks about that gap because it's not a satisfying part of the story, but it's the real part. Here's a relatable version of this. Think of someone who's underpaid for years, who finally says out loud to themselves first, I charge what I'm worth now. The first client conversation after that still feels shaky. The hands still sweat a little. But something has shifted that wasn't there before. They're not negotiating from hope anymore. They're negotiating from a stated position. That shakiness isn't failure. It's just the gap closing in real time. My honest opinion. Having done this with things that actually mattered to me, the sentence isn't the finish line. It's closer to a stake in the ground. You say it once, you feel like a liar. You say it again, you feel like a liar with less conviction. And at some point, nobody can tell you exactly when you say it, and it's just true. Not because saying it caused reality to rearrange itself. Because you finally stopped needing anyone, including yourself, to be convinced. I think about someone I knew who wanted to start describing herself as a writer, instead of someone who writes sometimes, when there's time. She said the sentence to herself for weeks before she ever said it to another person. And when she finally did say it to someone else, at a dinner, almost as a throwaway line, she noticed her voice caught slightly on the word. Not because it wasn't true anymore, because it was becoming true. And the catch in her voice was just what that transition sounds like from the outside. And that's really stage 4, the part that doesn't get talked about because it's quiet instead of dramatic. It's not the moment everything changes. It's the moment you notice you've stopped performing belief. You're not repeating the sentence to convince yourself anymore. You just live from it now, the way you live from your own name. I think that's the actual thing Fillmore was circling, whether he had the language for it or not. Not that saying words for 30 seconds rearranges your bank account. That saying something honestly, out loud, to yourself, is one of the only tools we have for closing the gap between who we've quietly decided we're allowed to be and who we've been settling for. I don't think this is something you do once and move past. It's more like a practice you return to whenever you notice yourself back in that private, unspoken version of hoping, the version that never has to answer to anything. Some weeks the sentence comes out easily. Other weeks it catches in your throat the way it did for my friend at that dinner table. And that's fine too. The catching isn't a sign you're failing at it. It's just proof the sentence still means something to you. So if you're going to take anything from this video, don't take the 30 seconds. Take the sentence you've been avoiding saying out loud. Say it once today. Notice the flinch. Let it be uncomfortable. That discomfort isn't a sign you're doing it wrong. It might just be the sound of something finally becoming real.